Fiz starts digging for answers. Coronation Street has unveiled another clue that could finally shed light on what happened to Cassie Plummer. The troubled resident vanished mysteriously earlier this week after a dramatic confrontation with her enemy, Ross Wilkes. During Monday's 3rd of August episode, Cassie came to realize that her attempts to expose Ross had pushed the people closest to her away. Feeling completely defeated, she said goodbye to her grandchildren and told them she had secured a cleaning job aboard a cruise ship. Viewers then watched as Cassie drove away with Ross, with the pair having one final tense confrontation inside the car. Later, Ross returned alone and acted as though he had no idea where Cassie had gone, before secretly taking out the family photograph that Fiz Dobbs had given her mother-in-law. Since then, Ross's account of Cassie's disappearance has continued to change. He eventually claimed that he had taken her to the station before going his separate way. In next week's episodes, Fiz becomes even more suspicious when Hope discovers the family photograph among Ross's belongings. A newly released spoiler clip for Thursday's 13th of August episode shows Ross becoming increasingly comfortable in the Dobbs household now that Cassie is no longer around. While Tyrone enjoys having his father nearby, Hope is more interested in spending time with her friends. Trying to play the role of a caring grandfather, Ross offers Hope some money and tells her to take a 10-pound note from his wallet. However, when Hope pulls out the photograph, Fiz instantly recognizes it as Cassie's. "I gave that to her just before she left," Fiz says, prompting Ross to come up with another explanation. He claims that Cassie threw the photograph at him while getting out of the car. Tyrone is taken aback when he learns that Ross actually saw Cassie before she disappeared. Ross then insists that he drove her to the station, adding that Cassie had supposedly said she had had enough of everyone. The revelation leaves Tyrone upset as he responds that the feeling was mutual. But Fiz is far from convinced by Ross's latest version of events. His changing story, combined with Cassie's earlier warning about him, only makes her more suspicious. With more evidence beginning to point towards Ross, could Fiz finally uncover the truth about what happened to Cassie? Idris's dark side revealed in Coronation Street as Leanne is left reeling. Coronation Street fans are about to see Idris Nazir's darker side exposed. If anyone still doubted that newcomer Idris Nazir is far from being a good man, upcoming episodes of Coronation Street are set to provide plenty of evidence. His increasingly sinister behavior could also force his girlfriend Leanne Battersby to question exactly who she has fallen for. At first, everything appeared to be going perfectly. Idris arrived on the cobbles like a modern-day hero, quickly catching Leanne's attention after stepping in at speed dial and throwing out a group of troublesome customers who had been targeting Brody Michaelis. But there were already clues that Idris had a darker side. He previously cornered Damo in the Ginnel and demanded money from the frightened man, giving viewers an early glimpse of his intimidating methods. Still, Leanne has been through plenty of heartbreak, so she was willing to overlook some of his questionable behavior. However, Idris is now proving that he can go much further than anyone initially expected. The property developer was previously linked to the ordeal suffered by Abby Webster's son, Alfie Franklin, after dangerous black mold was left untreated in the property he was renting to the family. The mold caused the youngster serious breathing difficulties. Rather than dealing with the problem properly, Idris took matters into his own hands. He ordered his associate Brody to track down the former landlord responsible for the damp and intimidate him. And that was only the beginning. Idris has now set his sights on Speed Dahl, the popular restaurant owned by his relative Idris Nazir. When Alia refused to simply hand over the business, Idris retaliated by exposing a shocking family secret. He revealed that he is actually Alia's uncle rather than her cousin, following the discovery that her grandfather had been involved in an affair. Despite Idris's determination to take control of Speed Dahl, Leanne has remained largely unaware of just how dangerous her new boyfriend can be. There have been warning signs. During a romantic moment, Idris deliberately switched off the ringer on Leanne's phone so that a call from Toya Battersby would not interrupt them. Even so, Leanne has been too caught up in her feelings to recognize the red flags. That could soon change. Alia's decision to sell Speed Doll is set to bring out an even darker side of Idris. After Adam Barlow points out that Alia has missed an important deadline, she realizes she must choose between her legal career and running the restaurant. She eventually tells Idris and Leanne that she has decided to sell the business to an old family friend. Idris is delighted, believing the restaurant is finally within his grasp, but his assumption is quickly shattered. The next day, Alia shows Gavin, the potential buyer, around Speed Doll, while Idris watches closely. Gavin appears impressed, but as he heads towards his car, Idris approaches him. Whatever Idris says clearly leaves its mark. The following day, Nick Tilsley and Toya warn Leanne that Idris is a thug and claim he intimidated Gavin. With the evidence mounting, will Leanne finally believe the warnings or continue defending the man she loves? Is Coronation Street on tonight as episodes of ITV soap taken off air this week? Coronation Street viewers are facing another shakeup to their usual viewing schedule, with several dramatic storylines unfolding on the ITV soap. Fans have already experienced interruptions this summer due to coverage of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and another change is now on the way. Among the upcoming storylines, Sarah Platt continues to struggle behind bars after being accused of murdering Theo Silverton. New spoilers reveal that Sarah is intimidated by a threatening fellow prisoner, leaving her shaken. The situation becomes even more worrying when her daughter Bethany Platt visits and notices the bruises on Sarah's face. Despite her injuries, Sarah attempts to downplay what has happened and insists that she is fine. Meanwhile, Tim Metcalf becomes involved in a disturbing mystery surrounding his relative, Richie. After failing to stay with his family member, Tim discovers Richie's wallet on the sofa and decides to visit his house. However, when Richie opens the door, Tim is immediately alarmed by his behavior. Richie appears confused and is wearing a shirt covered in blood. Horrified by what he sees inside the property, Tim makes a shocking decision and contacts the police. But when exactly can viewers watch the latest episode? Coronation Street will air tonight, Sunday, August 9th at 7:30 p.m. on ITV, following Friday's episode being removed from the schedule for live coverage of the EFL Cup clash between Middlesbrough and Wrexham. The episode is also available to stream on ITVX and YouTube. There are more schedule changes coming next week. Coronation Street will air at its usual 8:30 p.m. slot on Monday, August 10th and Tuesday, August 11th, following Emmerdale at 8 p.m. However, both soaps will be affected again on Wednesday, August 12th, due to coverage of the Manchester United vs. Leeds United preseason friendly. Coronation Street will return to its normal schedule on Thursday and Friday, August 13th and 14th. There will not be an extra episode next weekend to make up for the disrupted installments, so fans will need to keep an eye on the schedule.